Happy Saturday to you, and I hope you're having a great day and a great weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion. I like to say stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color, diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics, the space I'm just ecstatically crazy about. Again, I want to welcome you to the show. Hope everybody has had a great week so far. Make sure that you give Ecamm permission to pull your information. Some people come over as Facebook user, which means that they haven't given Ecamm permission. I want to make sure that I give you the props that you so richly deserve and give you the shout out that you so deserve. You know the drill. Make sure you say hello, what's going on, where you're tuning in from, so I can give you a big shout out for sure. Mr. James Jeffries, I appreciate you tuning in there, brother, from LinkedIn. I think this is Amanda, the Facebook user. Like I said, give Ecamm permission. That way I can see your name and give you a big shout out and everything like that. But I appreciate you tuning in because I typically check out and kind of monitor LinkedIn, even though I make sure they're all the links and all the streams are going live. I usually check it out from LinkedIn and keep an eye on that. But I appreciate you tuning in for sure. Mr. Kenny D, appreciate you as always coming by and supporting the show for sure. Also, make sure that you get connected into the Facebook group community. I definitely want to make sure that I give you I wonder why it's not showed up. Shout out for sure. Yes, there it is. Want to make sure that I give you a shout out. Facebook.com/group/The Color of Motion. Come on over, join the community. We're having a lot of fun over there, connecting, sharing industry news, and just having an all around good time. So make sure you hop on over to the Facebook group community and be a part of it for sure. Before we get going, definitely want to give a shout out to our sponsor, DG Graphics. They do all our graphics, overlays, animations, make us look good. And if you're a business or brand that's looking to level up or start a live stream show of your own, definitely reach out to them because they can help you look good, like me. So appreciate them being a part of the show for sure. Also, make sure that you connect with me. Whoa, this didn't go right there. Hold on. All right. Well, all right. Let's try that. This is, well, it's supposed to be on the other side, but it still shows up. Anyway, make sure that you connect with me on all my social channels there. I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think of the show. Any guests you might want me to try and get on, and just be a part again of the community. Like I said, we stream live to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. But I always kind of encourage everybody to jump on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell notification, comment on the episodes. That definitely helps out the channels. And there you can check out all the great content and all the other past great guests I've had on the show. Definitely hop on over there, subscribe. I definitely want to grow the channel and, make it an engaging place for you. What else, man? Just so much going on. Like I said, this year, season 2 has been kicking off to a great start, and today's show is no exception. Been super looking forward to having my next guest on. We've been friends for, goo gob years. It's got to be over 10, 15, 20 years since we maybe met. It's got to be. but super talented. So looking forward to, like I said, sitting down, chopping it up with him because he is amazing, and you're going to get a chance to check out some of his work for sure. Mr. Downtown DeMille, I appreciate you as always, DeMille. Supporting the show and stopping by as well. Like I said, we got a lot of great things planned for the Color of Motion this year. Um, like I said, still working on the website. The website should be up pretty soon. But working on corporate sponsors, trying to get everybody to, kind of help support the show and everything. And with that, if you are wanting to support the channel and support the content that I'm putting up, hey, I love a great cup of coffee. You know, who doesn't love a good cup of coffee? So you can buy me a cup of coffee, donate. It'll definitely help me to continue to make great content, bring on great guests, and continue to level up the show and the channel for sure. So I definitely would appreciate you and appreciate everybody that helps out and helps me to continue doing what I do here. Man, what else is going on that I need to remember to put up? I think I pretty much got everything. Again, make sure that you jump into the comments, engage with the show. I always love having good feedback and conversation and engagement on the show. Definitely lets me know that I'm headed in the right direction for sure. With that, I think we're about ready to kick off this episode here. Like I said, I've been looking to get my next guest on for a while. And like I said, we've been friends for a good long time. Met some years ago in a Lightwave users group meeting. That's how long it's been. But he has continued on his journey and, like I said, done some amazing, amazing stuff, which I think you're going to enjoy for sure. Miss Leontine, good to see you. Appreciate you stopping by as always, and definitely looking forward to connecting again. We got to jump on a call soon for sure. So I appreciate you stopping by. With that, I think we're pretty much good to go here. My next guest, he's a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. We appreciate his service for sure. And owner of gForce Animation with his partner, Paul Ehmer, and has been working in 3D animation, motion graphics, visual effects, audio production, and producer and graphic designer for nearly 15 years. He also writes, records, and produces music for his rock band. Like I said, he's in a rock band, so we're going to dive a lot deeper into that. His rock bands, a Dark Wizard of Oz play called Witch, and for the animations that he creates. He's done work in many different industries, from the Houston Museum of Natural Science and several other museums around the country, oil and gas, and other large and small energy related companies, high end custom home design and construction, automotive, visual effects for feature film, character animation, TV commercials, and in many types of commercial products. He's done a wide array of stuff. He's currently working on new projects, including design and animation for the new Chemistry Hall at the Houston Museum of Natural Science, Hispanics in Energy, Luxior, Luxury Magazine, Lamborghini, VR training simulation for firefighters, and new music for Riot the Witness, which is his band. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Mr. Slade Deliberto.
Hey, what's going on,
You ought to be used to this in your rock band there, man.
That's right. Hey, get those lights going, that smoke going.
Oh man, Slade, I appreciate you so much stopping by, man. I've
Thanks for
been
having me,
working
man.
at this for a while, looking to get you on and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Appreciate it. So how's things been going with you, and how's things going?
Oh, just super slam busy between the museum, and then gForce, and then the band, and then of course the family and the kiddo. It's pretty much nonstop. I think I cranked out six animations in the last 3 weeks, plus the ongoing chemistry hall stuff. And then they'll call me for what else I did. Then redid some animations for TV spots for Ramses for the Egypt Hall. So also all the TV commercial you see for the museum, I do a lot
Yeah.
of that, like Body Worlds and
I don't know
Ramsey.
how you do it, man. I don't know how you balance all of that stuff. It's just amazing that you keep yourself going organized and going with just everything that you got going on. And like I said, I'm super looking forward to sitting down like and just diving into, you know, your journey. We've known each other for quite a while. Like I said, we met some years ago. I can't even count. I was trying to think about it yesterday when we talked how long that's been since we met at that users group meeting.
And that must have been '05 or around that time, or maybe even before that, a little early
It had
2000s.
to be, yeah, it had to be earlier than that because I don't even think I was in my house at the time, and I've been in my house over 10 years. 12, yeah, it's had to have been longer than that since they stopped meeting or they started that users group
Yeah.
meeting for
But as
sure.
time goes on, it's like fuzzy math. You're like, wait, that's 10 years ago. No, that's just
I'm
10 years. Wait
telling
a minute. That was 20 years. You gotta be joking.
I'm
That's
telling you, I
good.
don't think I had near as many gray hairs for sure.
Man, I got them poking in here already too. Stay hidden.
Oh man, we're getting ready to dive in. I'm curious, Slade. What were you like growing up? I mean, how would you
I,
have described yourself growing
I
up?
grew up in a really small town, Louisiana. Just my dad worked for Texaco. So he was gone 7 and 7. I grew up. I'm Italian. I was Italian Catholic. I went to Catholic school. Went to church 6 days a week, which was I hated it after a while. I played with my Star Wars toys, my He-Man, my GI Joe.
Oh
Um,
wow, GI Joe. Yeah, I got
you
mine
know,
sitting over there.
yeah, I mean, and I was always fascinated when the first time I saw. I think Empire Strikes Back is the first Star Wars movie that I saw as a kid. I think I was into Batman, Spider Man, superheroes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Um, I mean, just pretty much all that stuff. But we didn't have. Of course, there was no internet then either. But
Yeah,
there was no outlets to learn how to get into the industry. And MTV was on. And I would see all the rockers and the rock bands, and I was exposed to all kinds of music that I wasn't really exposed to as a kid. My parents listened to country, like
yeah,
I'm talking about like old Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers and Elvis and that stuff. So I had that kind of music background, but I wasn't ever exposed to rock until you know. But there was no outlets
yeah.
for that. It was almost like the window to the world, and I knew there was this world out there outside Hammond, Louisiana. You know,
Hammond, yeah, I know Hammond really well. I
you know,
got
I used to,
relatives in Baton Rouge, so I know
oh yeah,
Hammond. Yeah, pretty
close
good.
by. I used to ride BMX and skateboard. I was a little skater kid. And,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was a pretty good kid. I played a lot of sports: basketball, football, baseball, soccer.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
I,
and I guess you kind of answered it. Which obviously did the art come before your passion for music? Because like I said, you are in a band, you play guitar, and like I said, you do some great music. I've had a chance to listen to a lot of the tracks. Was that later on in life when you started picking up playing music and really getting into music, and you started off really kind of on the art track and animation track?
uh, well, on the art track, when I was a kid, I drew a lot, right? And I took art classes at school, and I love that. I love science and math and art. Um, I got a guitar, my first guitar, I think when I graduated Catholic school, 8th grade. My mom bought me a BC Rich Warlock. It was one like Motley Crue had,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
kind of devilish looking one. And I was a Catholic schoolboy drawing, pentagrams, and it was very. I
I'm
had
sure.
these
I'm sure
rebellious.
that went over really well.
Right. We had like guns with rulers, and it was no joke back then. So this is the '80s, so it's the mid '80s, and so They didn't play around, but there was this rebel in me that wanted to get out to that, and
Yeah.
then animation didn't happen. Basically, when I was a junior in high school, I joined the Marine Corps because I was trying to find a way. How do I get out of this town? Like,
Yeah.
how do I leave? And so I was like, oh, I worked at Chick-fil-A in the mall, and they had a recruiting office upstairs, and all the branches would come in. And when those Marines came in, there was a respect,
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do something, I need to get out of this town. How do I get out, grow up, figure out what I want to do with myself? Because I knew I wanted to get into music. I wanted to get into film and the special effects stuff, but I had no idea how to do any of that stuff. There just was no outlet for that. I didn't know anybody worked in the industry. Everybody worked in oil and gas, or
Yeah.
they owned a sports shop. They're just small town people. Um, and then so I said, well, I'm gonna join the Marine Corps. I joined the Marine Corps, and then when I was in the Marine Corps, about 2 years in, my brother, who's also in the Marines now as well, he's a lieutenant colonel. He sent me a catalog from the Art Institute of Houston. Starts thumbing through it. I was like, okay, art, because my brother has no artistic ambitions or abilities. He can't dance, no rhythm, none of that. I had all the talent, right? And as soon as I thumbed through it and I saw the audio, video, music business, I was like, that's it. This is how I learned to get in. This is how
Yeah.
I learned, and I wanted to be good at everything. So I figured, be in music. If I could learn music law and music business, that would be great. The audio recording stuff, of course, and then it wasn't film; it was TV station, like the 10 o'clock news kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
still, that's still relevant to film. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And I applied, got accepted, let my parents know, drove home. My mom, she's so sweet. She like been buying stuff off eBay because eBay was out,
Yeah.
and she was on the internet, but I didn't even know what internet was because I was deployed so much. When I came back, there was parts of the world that had changed. There was new music out. There, Nirvana was out, and Stone
Yeah.
Temple Pilots, and all this music. And I was like, "What is this?" Because I'd been all over the world deployed in the Marine Corps. Uh, Packed up a U-Haul and moved to Houston by myself. My parents helped me, and then just by myself and just started.
Wow. Wow. What were you doing in the Marine Corps? I mean, did you have a specific job, or what were your position in there?
So I was security forces, which are deployed around the world to guard and be security for anything vital to national security.
Yeah. Yeah.
All kind of different ammo to nukes or whatever. And then I was 0341, which is in the infantry, 60 millimeter mortars on the ground. So I was ground combat as well. So so getting out of the Marine Corps, I could have become anything in law enforcement,
Hmm.
all the
Yeah.
way up to CIA, FBI, or anything like that. And that's what my dad was like. That's what you should do because he's very traditional. Get a job, get a pension, blah blah. But the world changed already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna be an artist. I want to be a musician. I'm gonna. And then I saw animation whenever I saw like Jurassic Park, and I saw they were doing 3D animation. I was like, whoa, this is next. This is the next thing.
Yeah.
And then the internet was coming online, and they were doing videos online. I was like, there's just a matter of time when the computers and the software connect that this is going to be everything, and
Yeah.
it's going to be everything everywhere to everyone. So I have to learn it, and it was like being an artist, especially in 3D. It's like a God program.
Yeah.
Anything you can create in your mind, any world,
Yeah.
up to your abilities, it's there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to learn this stuff. And then once I started learning, it was just like nonstop. Even all these years later, I'm a sponge
Sponge.
for
Yeah.
really everything in life. But everything in life comes back to art, and then
Yeah.
comes back to music
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
Now, like you're saying, the software, the hardware, everything is just going so fast, and there's new stuff coming out all the time, and just new technologies that are coming out all the time that you kind of just have to get it. And I tell my sister this all the time: you need to learn, computers and technology, because if you don't, you're gonna fall behind just in whatever it is, because it's just so plugged
Yeah.
into everything. What do you feel like the service provided, because you were obviously in there for what, 2 years, a short period of
for
short period,
four and a half.
4.5 years.
Yeah.
What do you feel like the Marine Corps gave you that serves you well now?
So when you're in the Marine Corps, you don't really know all the personal traits you learn. So you learn a lot of leadership traits. So there's one. It's the acronym is called JJ Did Tie Buckle. And so these are the 14 leadership traits, and it makes you realize that you can push yourself further than you even think is possible. Um, it makes you be accountable for yourself, and it makes you be dedicated to your craft, to be enthusiastic about your craft, and to find something that you're into, and just be 100% all the time.
Yeah.
Not to let people deviate you from what you're wanting to do. I was having a conversation with my godson the other day, and he's 21 now, and he's in high school. He was taking some premier classes. He has a good eye for composition, and he's doing graphics. He wants to start a T-shirt line and stuff. So I'm encouraging him, and he's telling me how many people are telling him not to do it, and he's not going to be successful. I'm like, don't listen to any of those people. I'm like,
Yeah.
look where I'm at now. Look where I started. You know?
Yeah, yeah. You have to follow your, and I tell my nieces and nephews that as well. You have to follow your heart. It's not what your parents want. It's not what your friends want. It's what you want and what's going to make you happy in the end. For sure. And another thing, we kind of both share in common. We both went to the Art Institute. What do you think now? I went a little earlier because they didn't have any animation or computer classes
Mhm.
when I went. I went for traditional, visual communication. But what do you think about now with the advent of so many online schools that are really targeted to whatever it is you want, like Nomen School, if you're really wanting to get into visual effects and creature
Oh yeah.
animation, animation mentor.
I
Um,
think that I think all that stuff is absolutely fantastic. It takes the thing is people want everything given to them. Tell me what you know. You got to put the time in. But
yeah,
now you don't really need. I mean, you don't need to go to those schools. No one has ever asked me. I have multiple degrees now, and
yeah,
no one has ever even asked my degree.
yeah,
It's all about your art. What can you do? What are they looking for? It's all about you as an artist and your work. Even when we sell things to clients, I just show it to them.
yeah,
I'm not pushy. This is what you're looking for. This is what I can do. Here it is, and then that's that. Because your art should be represent you as the artist, not
yeah,
everything else. When I was in the Art Institute, I had completed all my courses, and then I took a Premiere class, video editing, took a Photoshop class, I took a 3D Max class. So that wasn't my major, and some of my teachers were terrible. Some of them were great,
yeah,
right? Uh, but that showed me, okay, I need to learn this stuff. And then from there, I've been 100% self-taught.
yeah, yeah,
So there's so many resources, and I use it all the time. I'm working in Blender, and so I need to learn. Okay, well, how do I do this? Just Google it. Boom,
yeah,
pops up. There's a tutorial. Learn how to do it. So and then do the next thing. So I think it's a wonderful thing if you can learn on your own. And I think it's even better because the schools can be great. You have hands on, but then you get in debt.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it took me 10 years to pay off my loan.
It took
You
me
know,
even longer.
yeah, and so you know that's a part of it. But the stuff online, there are so many things that are affordable
Yeah,
that you can take. There's
yeah,
lots of free stuff, and it's wonderful. I mean, I'm
yeah,
taking another a CS 50 class in programming from Harvard that's free.
yeah. Wow,
So it's just
wow.
put the time in, and there's so much free resources. All you have to do, like I like to help people and show them where to learn.
Yeah,
It's like a wind up doll, and then go
yeah,
learn, and then from there you kind of branch out and you discover other things, and maybe you come back and say, okay, what do you think about this? I'm like, okay, well, over here, and
yeah,
you got to put the time in for yourself, and then you find out what it is that you really like to do, what you're really good at, because everybody has a lot of special God-given gifts. You just got to find out what it is that you really love to do, and if you can make just a living, pay your bills, and do that, to me, that's success.
yeah, yeah,
From that, it's just better and better.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that. And I always say this is such a great time that we live in as content creators because, like I said, you got the internet. YouTube University is pretty much you can find anything that you want to learn, on YouTube or Google, and somebody's, made a tutorial and a video. So there's so many different resources where you could pick up and learn whatever it is that you want to learn out there.
Yeah, and I mean back then to learn the software, we had to pirate and get cracked copies. And then,
Yeah.
but the thing is, what they didn't understand is that we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you want to learn, you have to get the software. They want you to have the software to learn, so you can get a job, so you can buy the software,
Yeah.
like we are now. So
Yeah.
and then eventually they started giving out trials or giving out free stuff to students because they realized, well, these are the people that buy our software. These are the people that now it's all subscription based, right?
Yeah.
So you have to learn it. No one's going to drop $1,000, a couple few $1,000 on some software. They have no idea even how to use it, and how long does it take you to learn something so you can actually get a
Yeah.
job, or
Yeah.
just to get to hustle and get a side job doing a logo or something for a client. You know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I know. I know when I started getting into 3D and software, really, like I said, lightweight, which is, like I said, kind of why we met. That was about the most affordable professional one out there.
Yeah,
That
absolutely. Yeah.
that was really good quality. There were a couple other like Affinity and Strata Studio Pro were okay, but lightweight was about the best studio quality animation software that was out there that was affordable. I couldn't afford 3D Studio Max. I couldn't afford Maya. I couldn't afford,
Optimize, remember Optimize?
Softimage and
That
all of
was
that.
like $16,000 at the time. 16 grand. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and that's not even the system to run it on. That's just the software.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
back then we had Pentium twos or something with a big
yeah.
hard drive. The hard drive was like a 1 gig hard drive. And you're like, what am I going to fill this up with? And now we have terabytes and clouds and
Oh man.
computers in our pockets and drones flying around. I mean,
Like I said, the technology moves so fast, for sure. Let's know some comments. KDJ, please accept my LinkedIn connection. I will, KD. You should still be. I guess you're still watching it. YouTube. You're watching it from YouTube. Appreciate you tuning in, for sure. Right. I'm not sure who this is. Like I said, I'm watching it on my homepage, but I'm not monitoring the comments. But definitely, again, uh, make sure that you get connected uh, and give Ecamm permission. And that really only works with Facebook. I think you need to be connected with me on LinkedIn for it to show up. Otherwise, your name and stuff. Otherwise, you just show up as LinkedIn user. But I appreciate you tuning in for sure. Another Facebook user, music. Yeah, another musician. Like I said, it's just and you said your parents, especially your dad, kind of wanted you to go that traditional route. How do they? I mean, what are their thoughts now? Obviously, you've been doing this a long time, so they see that
yeah,
you're able to make a living, provide, and do some amazing work. What are
yeah.
their kind of thoughts as far as just
Oh
how
yeah,
they
my
were
dad
thinking
he had a
before?
whole plan. It was like be a cop, get a pension, then be a postman and get a pension. And I was like, I'm not harassing people and trying to pull them over. No, I'm gonna be a postman. I mean, come on. So basically, when I got the gig, the first contract job I got was with the Houston Museum of Natural Science. I was in the Art Institute. I knew Lightwave. They're looking for someone. When I did the first energy hall, now when I did the first energy hall, all I did was animation. So now I'm like, I'm in the design processes and all this other stuff. But then it was just the one thing. But once I did that, and then they saw that my salary, I think my first job, I got a job at Toshiba Industrial Corporation off of Little York. in the marketing department. It was like I was the fourth person. It was like a three-member team. I'm making $9 an hour, something like that, right? Doing Photoshop all day. I was
Yeah.
cutting out products. That's what I was doing, dropping backgrounds out, cutting products out by hand. Um, but once I did the Weiss Energy Hall, and then my salary doubled, right? I mean, that was making maybe 30 grand from that at that point. Then my dad was like, because he measured people measuring success by financial,
Yeah,
right?
monetary. Yeah.
Monetary. So when that happened, then they came to Houston and saw it, and they're like, wow, because they didn't know what animation was and all that stuff. They're like, then they were like, okay, he's doing something. Because I kept telling them, this is what I want to do. This is my vision of what I want to do with this stuff. And a lot of times, just because you do something doesn't mean you're going to be successful at it. I've had a lot of failure things, but you learn. But when you get to that point, then they were kind of like, okay, just let him do his thing. He's obviously onto something, and then that just kind of grew and grew, and that kind of thing. So, um, but it took that point for them to
Yeah.
see. And when I graduated the Art Institute, that was a pretty proud moment because in high school I wasn't a very good student. I think I graduated like C's and D's. Even one time in PE, I was trying to grow my hair out, and I messed my hair out, so I stopped participating in PE, and I got an F. So my dad was like, "How do you get an F in PE, son? I play sports." I'm like, "I don't want to mess my hair up, Dad," because I was trying to straighten it, have rock star hair, and all that.
That sounds like
So
my parents, what my mom would say. How do you get an F in PE or something? It's
yeah,
like you can't
but
imagine it.
when I went to the Art Institute, I graduated with honors. I graduated with like a 3.9. So I was excelling, because it was something I was really interested in, and
Yeah.
I participated. Plus, I was paying for it.
Yeah.
Mom and dad weren't paying for it. I had my GI Bill, which that's pretty much a joke. So I was working. I worked three jobs. I was a personal trainer. I worked for KIKK and KILT
Yeah.
radio, and I worked for Channel 45 at like the 10 o'clock news at the Spanish station.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was always hustling and
Yeah.
doing my
Work.
thing, so I don't want to waste time on that.
Which comes to the point of if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way and make a way of making it happen. Which, like you said, you did. You worked and worked your way through school, the Art Institute. I pretty much did the same.
Hmm.
Got a couple of student loans, but fortunately, like I
Yeah.
said, you work and you hustle to get through. Um, you done a lot of, and we're going to take a look, folks. We're going to take a look in a minute at his demo reel, and you'll see some of the amazing work that he's done. But you've done a lot of different things, and we were talking about this the other day. You kind of you describe yourself as a generalist, touching a lot of things. Is there one thing that you enjoy doing more than the other? Say modeling, texturing, animating, or is it
I
the
like
whole process for you?
the whole process, and I like that I'm not. I mean, some projects are long, right? Some of the halls and stuff at the museum, but I'm always doing something new, and that's done. I'm on something else, and I'm on something else. And I'm always learning. I'm always pushing myself, and everything that I do, I have to do it better and better, and more efficient. How can I make it more efficient? How can I render things faster with the technology and so all these things that I'm always juggling? But it's the whole learning process, and just the creating process, and then to see people just go, wow, holy crap, wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing. Then I know that okay, I'm doing something that's good. And then also, being at the museum, I'm doing things that are there for 20 years that there's millions of people that go and they learn from this stuff, from
yeah,
engineers to kids. And I can walk around the museum and kids are like, hey, come over here, check this thing out. And we even have like little animated songs and things that we've created. And they're singing the songs and doing this stuff. And for me, that's really cool because it gives me purpose that I'm also leaving things behind for millions of people to enjoy.
yeah,
And they have no idea who's done any of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, but
And I'm
you
like
can see.
behind the curtain.
Yeah,
Pull
yeah.
the
It's
curtain.
almost like I said, it's almost like an animator that goes to a premiere of of a show that they worked on. They see how people in the audience react to their
Yeah, that's
animation
super
work,
cool.
and really hits home that, oh wow, people really love this movie that I worked on.
Yeah,
Really gives you
that's always super
satisfaction.
cool. Because a lot
Yeah,
of people, they'll say, "Hey, have you ever been to the Houston Museum of Natural Science? Have you seen all the animation and this and that?" It's like, oh, well, Slade's one of the main guys that works on a lot of that stuff. And that's very very cool. And when we did the last energy hall, now there's like a gold standard. So when we're doing this new chemistry hall, we're doing even more stuff that's never been done before. And that's a challenge too. Is like, okay, well, we want to do we're doing this design like, and then it's like, okay, how are we going to pull this off? Well, we'll figure it out,
yeah, yeah,
and we do.
yeah. And I think that's how and it's funny because I've been watching like a lot of you know, self development videos and stuff like that. And that's how really innovators, you know, make things. They don't know how they're going to do it, but they see it in their head of how they want it to be. They're not sure how they're going to get there, but they trust that they'll figure it out along the way, which is what makes things so good. Again, everybody that's just tuning in, having a great conversation with my man Slade here. And we're getting ready to take a quick look at some of his awesome work. And like I said, we'll come back and dive into some more stuff as well. Amazing, amazing work. Like I said, I've just always been just super blown away by the stuff that you do. And, like I said, we've known each other a long time, Slade, and just seeing the progression of your work and the style of your work is just amazing for me. Um, do you find it hard? Because I know for me, jumping around a lot of applications. I try and, like I said, of course, as an artist and a creative, you get into a lot of applications. But for you, is it? Do you find it challenging working in kind of having to learn all these different applications and kind of keep yourself up to date because they are always changing, always coming out with updates, always coming out with just new features and new things.
Yeah, I think the reason why I do it is because I'm like, okay, let me learn Houdini because I've seen some really cool stuff, and then I'll have a shot or something that I can work on it. But with the frustrating part, is that you already know how to do something so fast and lightwave and say Maya, like those are the things I work in the most. And then I'm jumping to Houdini, and I can't figure out how to move the camera around. I can't figure out how to do the basic stuff. So just learning how to do the basic stuff is is the most challenging part. Even like now I'm working in Blender. It does some amazing stuff, but I just Google it. How do I, do a scale randomization? And boom, boom, there it is. And then I go in there and just kind of figure it out. But there are some things that are frustrating. Just learning the basic stuff. How do I do all this stuff over here that I know how to do over here?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then expand upon that. But it's
And
a
we were talking a little earlier, like I said, in mentioned in your bio, you have a rock band, you play guitar. Kind of when did that really start to gel and you're in a band and you guys are working together, you're playing gigs and things like that. So when at that point did, you start to really kind of split off a little doing your music?
I've been playing in bands. My first band is actually pretty much when I was in school, '05. So I've been playing music since '05. But when we would tour around, I had my tower with me, my monitor with me. I'd get to a hotel, I'd make sure they had Wi-Fi or I got an internet connection. I'd plug in. We would play a show. Sometimes we'd be in town, say 2 nights, but then all next day everybody's crashed out, they're
Yeah.
hungover, and I would get up and work all day on my projects. And if I couldn't email them back or post them, I just had them on a hard drive. And I made sure that our room wasn't the party room. So I would, me and my team would like pretty much stay together. And then but I was always working. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if I was uh, on the road or not. I was always working on my animation. But the laptops just didn't cut it. So I brought the tower, and they were like, the guys are like, dude, what are you doing? Bringing all this equipment? I'm like, bro, I gotta work. Like I'm trying to do something besides just this. Like, because putting one eggs in one basket is just never a good idea,
Yeah.
especially the way the world works.
Yeah.
You could be I've seen it. You've been in a company for be 60 years old, kids in college, and you got the house, and the cars, and the boat, and the whole thing. And then there's like, oh, well, we don't need you anymore, and all your retirement's gone, and all this stuff. And it's like I never wanted to be that person. I want to have multiple streams of revenue, multiple things going on. And music is hard. I mean, it's difficult, even having good music because a lot of the music out there that you hear all the time, those artists and record companies pay
Yeah.
quarter of a million, $500,000 to get a song national. When you
Yeah.
don't have that money, now you have the internet, but you gotta
Yeah.
constantly be networking and that's on the side with my graphics and animation that we have 100% professional branding and the whole thing, which a lot of bands you can't afford to do that stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
For
so
sure. So how does for you, how does the music kind of help or inspire the art that you do? And I mean, obviously it's another outlet for you, but
yeah.
what do you pull from the music that really kind of fuels you even more when you're sitting down doing animation?
Um, so the music is all our internal struggles and personal stories, which are a lot of which relate to a lot of people. The same things a lot of people are going through. There's just a different story, but they're all still very commonly related. And whenever I'm doing animation for the band, I pull stuff from the music. When I'm doing my other animation, those are basically for clients and that sort of thing. But when I'm doing stuff for the band, it's 100% creative, 100% based off the song and the story and stuff that's in my head because I basically pre-visualize everything. So when I wanted to be on the big stage, because a lot of people think they see the TV shows, American Idols, and all this stuff, and they think they have that, but maybe they don't.
Yeah.
But I would always pre-visualize me being at this next level, and then that would happen. Then I pre-visualize this, and I do it all the time with animation, with everything. I pre-visualize what I want to see, what I want to do, where I want to go, and I see myself doing that, being there. Now it may take a while,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen overnight, but that's a process that I do, and it's always helped me uh, to see these visions. Even working with clients, a lot of times clients don't exactly know what they want, and I think I told you, I tell everybody, there's a quote by Steve Jobs: the client or the customer doesn't always know what they want until you show it to them. So being able to take those visions and put them on screen, even through music, and pre-visualizing where you want to be is a powerful personal thing that I think everyone could work on.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
can help them.
No, and which is why I really spend a good amount of time on self development and, like you said, visualizing, pre visualizing, where you want to go, what you want to achieve, and the things that you want to do. You have to see it first before you can start to make that. Every invention, and I was listening to a podcast yesterday where they were talking about it, or I was listening to Bob Proctor, and he was talking about it. Every invention that you see out there started in the person's mind first
Mhm.
of what they wanted to create, and then they manifested that in the real world, and that's where it starts for sure. Gonna throw up some more comments for sure. Yeah, to be a bit torrent for sure. For sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
Now that was the thing back in the day,
big
BitTorrent.
time on the BitTorrent.
Oh
Yeah.
man, haven't heard the word Pentium in Yeah, Pentium, Pentium. I
Hey, that's
tell
what
you.
you have. I mean, you have knowing history about everything is important, especially computers. That makes you appreciate where you're at, having
Yeah.
to order all the parts and put all the parts together and figure it out. And then I would call my friends, and I get all the pirated stuff, and I'm like, well, "What's a zip file? What's a RAR? How do you open this up?" And they were like, "Stop calling us, figure it out. We just get the stuff."
Oh man, I tell you, and I have I don't know if you remember, like I said, a zip drive or a SideQuest drive. I don't know if you remember those big there. Yeah, SideQuest drive.
Was
Oh
that the gig one? Like
yeah, it
after
was a gig drive, but the tape was like almost like a little bit bigger than an 8 track tape. You just let it, and then there was the little zip. I think I even still have my zip drive um, over
do you really?
here. Yeah, I do, and I have, like I said, some zip discs that I because when I first started, like at the last advertising agency I worked at, and I had worked for them like 15 years, but they were putting everything initially on a SideQuest drive. And then when zip drives came out, they got a zip drive, and so I had a bunch of zip drives they were putting everything on. So it's just like you said, it's funny when you think about it. Now kids and kids today, they don't know hardly any of this stuff because they
Oh
have
yeah.
to, or like the floppy drives that you had to put in, the flexible floppy drives that you had to put. They don't think about that. They're so used to what's out there, what's out here now, that
It's all in the cloud. It's just invisible. But it
and
still goes to a computer someplace. It's still stored on a
yeah,
drive,
yeah,
tape backs up and all that kind of stuff.
it's for sure. But like I said, I think like what you were saying, you have such a much better appreciation when you know, come from, at our age when, there were things that weren't around now. Like I said, I come from time like before, like you said, before the internet, before the cell phone, and before mail or all of that stuff. There were telephone booths on every corner. There were mailboxes on every corner, and you had to do things the old-fashioned way. And it's just amazing how technology just moves at such a rapid pace. I mean, look where we're
Yeah,
at now.
yeah.
The things that are going on, AR, VR, metaverse, all this stuff is just pushing technology so fast. Um, we kind of, which kind of, I want to ask you, where do you kind of see, and like I said, you're pushing technology at the Museum of Science now. Where do you kind of see it going and progressing? You know, 5, 10 years from now, moving forward with just what you're seeing.
A lot of the interactivity. So a lot of with the LED wall technology. And I'll give you an example. So at the museum, a lot of stuff is projector based, and a lot of the stuff is based on the technology is also based on budgets. So the animation is one part, but the display is the other part. Because I've done things that look beautiful, and when they display it, it doesn't look quite as good, right? Because the projectors are not as bright, they're not as vivid. You have to have such a large display. They have to do blending. Over time, the bulbs will diminish a little bit, so you can see the seam. So there's other pros and cons of it. Now, so say for example, the projectors are 50 grand. These are high end projectors. This is a home projectors. If it's large display, right? So you need three of those. that's $150,000. But with the LED wall, a micro LED wall, you can get one for 100 grand. You just save 50 grand. Now you put that back in some other development of the museum or whatever. And now you have this incredible display that's so brilliant, and it displays the colors and the clarity, and it's going to be there, and it's going to be look like that for years and 20 years. I mean, those bulbs can stay on for like 11 years uh, without continuous use. So I
Yeah.
think the use of the display technology, the animation, the interactivity. One of the things we're doing at the new chemistry hall, we have the first of its kind. It's the largest and first ever LED dance floor periodic table,
Mm. Oh
like
wow.
30 feet long, and then we have a huge projected screen. So it's kind of like going to be like a rock band meets uh, Dance Dance Revolution for chemistry, and every tile is like 16 by 16 and has all 28 elements, and it's beautiful. I mean, just looking at it is so beautiful, and you can jump around on it and get all
Yeah.
the stuff. So
That's
all that stuff
amazing.
together, the displays, the animation, the storytelling, and and easy to understand ways, but also showing the technical side of it, because a lot of the museum, the people from your Halliburtons, Schlumberger, and Exxon's, they take their engineers there and actually use them for learning as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so all of that technology and the animation and interactivity, and it has to be entertaining and engaging, and it has to look really cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all that stuff is like is where that stuff is going. I mean, there's parts of the museum that are dim lit, like say your mineral hall, and you have a spotlight on this beautiful pyrite or quartz or something like that. And those traditional things will stay that way. Your dinosaurs and things like that. But in explaining complicated matters like energy, like chemistry, because chemistry is not just molecular;
Yeah.
it's also galaxies and solar systems and life and dark matter and neutron
Yeah.
stars, all this other stuff that just about it's about life, and makes people think a little bit more,
Yeah.
but also
Yeah.
be entertained, because our entertainment window is like it's quite finite.
Yeah. For
We
sure.
like
Our
to pay attention.
attention span is it gets shorter and shorter each time, and like I said, we're so used to this interactivity, immediate kind of feedback on things when we're
Right.
experiencing them. I know in your bio, we were talking. I was reading about you were doing VR training simulation for firefighters. I remember. Geez, it was a 3D kind of summit that somebody was putting on down at I think it was like around U of H. And what's the company that was out in the woodlands? I'm not sure if they're still there or not. It was a 3D company that was out in the woodlands, but they were at the time doing a talk, and they were showing a gamification they had done for the
Mhm.
oil rig workers. In
Yeah.
what to in case of what to do of a fire or explosion on an oil rig, but they set it up like a 3D game, and they had to be at this part. So it's such a wide um, appeal and wide use of what animation, visual effects and things can do as far as education, training, and just really bringing value to people that use it.
Right. So like the firefighter VR was basically it's something that the firefighter, now we're still in prototype phase, and it looks really good and it works, and we have some pretty sophisticated things with how the fire propagates and burns different materials at different rates and all this stuff. So basically, the idea is that the firefighters in their bays can go in there and then pull up different scenarios and battle fires. In addition to, it doesn't replace their real trainings and
Yeah,
all that stays in. It's just a supplemental addition to that they can have further training. And then as we further get into this, based on their feedback, we can develop things that they want to see. And
yeah,
okay, well, actually, this is how this works, and then we can go in there and say, okay, well, we got to set these simulations to work this way because that's what they want to see.
yeah,
And then over time, it grows, and it's basically with the community feedback. Same thing with oil and gas. We would do one of those shots you showed was a drill rig chair, a company called Omeron at the time. I think they've been bought by Schlumberger, So back in the day, people used to be on the rig, sling those chains in the mud. And I've been on land rigs, and the first time I was on one, I was like, "Holy crap, this is really dangerous and slippery." Like this is dangerous. Those guys know what they're doing, and the rigs shaking around and stuff like that. Now they have these robotic chairs. You sit into it, you set your pressures, you set your thresholds, just like if you're doing music with like compressors and things, and you can drive the top drive down. You have pipe handlers that come out, that grab the pipe, that put it exactly in place every time. So it eliminates those jobs on the rig floor, but it creates other jobs in the technical,
Yeah.
and the safety goes way up, and the production goes way up because you're not having all these other things that are dangerous. So developing those things, one is the animation, one is the simulation where you're sitting in the chair, then you have screens, and the next thing is the VR, which is fully immersive.
Immersive, yeah.
And that's the thing. When you see VR on the screen, it just looks like a game. When you put it on, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah,
You know,
no, it's a totally different experience when you have the headset on and you're in the environment and able to interact with all the different elements, which is why I think it's such a great learning tool. VR can be, because it gives you that ability to one be in the environment, interact with it, and really kind of get a full
right.
immersive experience
And
of
the one thing that we find with the VR, so with older folks, it's a little cumbersome. If you're a gamer like us, and you're used to the gaming and
yeah,
playing games, it's very intuitive. Okay, this is what I do. Oh, that's that. But you have to. So part of when we're developing stuff, we have to try to make it really easy for them to use, because that's really the kind of the people that are buying into some of
yeah,
the financial stuff of that stuff, and it has to be easy from you. So we're also learning not just on the development side of it, but on the user side of it as well. Because it needs to be as easy for them to put it on, turn it on, and then if they
yeah.
grab something and the thing pops on the back of their hand and they don't know how to let it go. It's just like simple stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Are you finding that it's easier now as you've done, especially with like the Houston Museum, but in relation to say other clients that are wanting, animation work or motion graphics work, do you find it easier to kind of sell them on just getting, because it's not a cheap thing to do. Where really when you're sitting down, the time involved, like I said, all the technicalities that go into it. Do you find it as an easier sell to say, hey, let's go big on this, and they're willing to bite on it and go for it because they've seen.
yeah, absolutely. If they have the budget, yes. Some companies that are kind of old school, that they won't do it until their competitor does it, and then they jump on board. But what I do is, because I've done so much, I have hours and hours of animation. So if I go in front of a natural gas client, I can pull all this natural gas animation that I've already have and show it to them, or just show them just the energy stuff,
Yeah,
and that alone shows them exactly what needs to be said. And so it's easy to show them, sell them on that, right? Because they already want that. Now, a lot of times they'll say, well, our competitors they're doing this, and then that's another part. But if I have a client that comes in and they say, well, I don't need it to look that good, then I'll just turn it down.
yeah,
Or I'll say, hey, I know some other artists that, I'll just kind of push the work off someplace else so someone else can do it. But I always want to work on things that are going to challenge me and be creative, and that they're coming to be, for me, not just to do it, but to be the creative mind behind what it is that they're trying to accomplish as well. So I
yeah,
have to try to get into their head and pull that vision out. Then once I show it to them, they'll come back with their changes. Can you do this? Can you do this? Because sometimes when I'm talking to them and they've seen the work, then they come up with all these kind of crazy ideas, and I have to kind of
and rate them in a little.
formulate. Okay, well, you want this, and like we're doing this stuff for the solid state battery technology, so we're doing a lot of renewable stuff as well. The solid state battery technology is going to change the EV market for a number of reasons, and they want a lion and a globe and all this kind of stuff, very high tech. And I pulled it off, and they love it, but they want to be more tech advanced, like Apple computers, right? because all this new technology has to look futuristic and it has
Yeah.
to look like it's the next thing, or we're running alongside this technology. You can't show them some animation that looks outdated and you're trying to sell in the future,
Yeah. Yeah.
or they're
Yeah.
just trying to present it. A lot of times our job is just to show this technology, how does it work. Sometimes it's for the clients that are on the sales team that needs to be more technical, and then sometimes it's just on the marketing side. They just need to say, this is what it is, these are the things it does. It gets them interested, then they call them, and then they do the sale part of it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of the different levels that we work in. But yeah,
So again, let's know some comments on here. Yes, Leontine, he has an awesome, like I said,
thank
just
you.
amazing, amazing work. I'm learning from him. He does such amazing work, and that's what I love about the creative space. You learn and you see people's work, and it really inspires you even more. Mr. Charles Clark, Semper Fi,
Uh, so
brother, yeah, you doing some
double
incredible
double
work,
dog
man.
right there. Number five, Chuck.
Semper Fi, brother. You're doing some
Yes, sir.
incredible work. Yes, he is, man. Doing some amazing work. Ghetto Rancho Music, Blessings and Slade. All right, my
My
fellow
friend. Tony, we
musician.
used to play. We play. He was the keyboard player. I was in this other band called the Voodoo Heads, and I was singing. And we had three Hispanic brothers that were the rappers. And he
Oh
played
man,
keyboard. Yeah, it was cool. It was super cool.
I always wanted to. Like I said, I just never had the chord. Well, I shouldn't say never. I guess if I really wanted to learn, I could just learn to play. But I always wanted to play the drums. I always liked the drums for sure.
Do it, man. Do it.
It's just the hand thing or the piano. It's just playing with two hands. It's
It's
just
just
takes
the
practice.
beginning. You know, the
Yeah, it's just the
beginning.
beginning. You got to start like anything.
Once
You
you
got to
start
start and
practicing,
practice.
it gets frustrating, and then one day it just kind of clicks, and you're like, "Oh,
Me and Leontine, yes, you said it. Really like the merging of music, science, tech,
thank
and
you."
museums. Definitely, like I said, I think that's the beauty of the science museum. They really are pushing the envelope of making science
Yeah,
really engaging and interactive for people. And I think as new things come out, they're going to push it even further because
yeah.
that's how people kind of learn. It just makes it
And
so
also
much
at
more fun.
the Houston Museum of Natural Science. So the Weiss Energy Hall, the third version came out in 2017. It's on the fourth floor. So if you go to the museum, you go towards the dinosaurs, take the elevator up to the fourth floor. We have a lot of really large displays, 15K animations, 7K, 8K, and we have rides. And we actually work with the people from Disney and
Uh,
Universal Studios for like the bladder control.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was
Wow.
super cool to do that as well. So we've taken the energy and made a story out of it and made a ride out of it.
Oh
So that's
man.
how we've kind of been pushing our innovation, and plus the artists and the artist engineers that we work with at the museum are they're super creative, brilliant people, intelligent people, and it's always cool to work with them. It's very diverse, but everybody's an artist. They may be just an engineer,
Yeah.
creative,
Yeah.
or they're in fabrication. But when they're fabricating rocks, they're making stuff out of like styrofoam, and I'm like, wow. I mean, it's amazing. Every artist influences me, because their art is just amazing. Even if they're just
Yeah.
making rocks.
Yeah, no, and I think that's such a great place to be at a company that really pushes each other, is creative, and loves to think out of the box as far as how they present their services or whatever it is that they're doing. That's what makes a great company, I think. Um, what was the origin of the name GForce Animation?
It really came from me being in the Marine Corps, right? So it's acceleration of gravity. So and just being on the ground and combat. Plus, I was using the G-force because I was so fast. As my name on like Facebook, I was like Slade G-force. So when we started the company, and it was my singer and Dimitri's Rail, his name was Paul Ehmer. When he kind of found out that I did animation for a living, because most of the music folks knew me as a guitar player and all these different rock bands and rock projects and so forth. when he found out that, he's like, hey, we need to start a company because he's very good on the business side and the networking side. And we were thinking about names. I'm like, I already got it. gForce. I already knew what the logo was going to look like. So I branded it and it wasn't taken. But I didn't want to be the capital G because
Yeah.
there's also that guinea pig movie, gForce.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know,
No,
so
now I get it. Like I said,
yeah,
when you came back and said I needed to be a little G there, for
yeah,
sure. So
yeah.
I
So I'm
get it
very
now.
specific about the little G because I want to be like, is that the guinea pig movie? Did you work on the guinea pig movie? I don't like, no, I didn't
Oh
work on
man.
that.
Positive, Mr. Raw. Appreciate the positive vibration for sure. What to this point in your career, what's been the best piece of advice that somebody's given you that's really, stuck with you for a while, and that you it comes back to you again and again?
Um, really just find your own path, believe in yourself, don't be afraid to take chances, and put the time in, but do the things that you want to do how you want to do them. That's been the best advice. And don't listen to the naysayers because a lot of times there's naysayers that are not even in your industry giving you advice. It's like,
Yeah.
why would you listen to someone that has no idea? Or if there's someone that's like broke and they're always on that side, you're like, why am I listening to you when I want to be surrounded by people that inspire me and this is where I want to go? I don't want to be over here. So it's kind of like it isn't one piece of advice. It's kind of those things that I kind of have put together. I'll tell you a real quick funny story. When I was in the Marine Corps, when I got in the Marine Corps, I made myself three promises. I was going to get a job in the air conditioning. I was not going to be in the rain unless I wanted to get wet. And then I was going to do whatever I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, and whether successful or not. Uh, and that's how I was gonna live my life.
Yeah.
And I kind of kept those things, even though the AC. It sounds kind of silly, but I was in the deserts and the jungles, and washing my clothes on rocks.
I want
To
to be
have
in
a
some air
washing machine.
conditioners.
I appreciate just some AC. I want to sit down in the AC and work. I'm just
Yeah.
tired of sweating in the jungles, and the deserts, and all that, on the bottom of
No,
the ship and all that.
I agree, man. And trust me, I hope people. I got to drop a bomb. I hope people got that bomb that Slade just dropped, because I really stress it a lot myself, even when talking to family, that you know don't get where you're trying to go or the life that you're trying to lead. And not that everybody is doing it out of a hateful place. They're doing it out of their own comfort place because that's
Mhm.
what they're used to doing. And so when somebody kind of goes their own path and is successful at it, it makes them really look at themselves like, wow, I could do that myself, but I just never took, I was afraid to do it. So like I said, like I tell my niece and my nephew, it's not about what your mother wants. It's not about what I want. It's not about what your friends want. And that's the hardest thing when it's friends and family. It's easier when it's somebody that you don't know that's
Mhm.
being negative and this and that. But it's so much more harder when it's your friends and family, and they're coming from a place of love, but they're also coming from a place of fear as well because they weren't willing to step out and take that chance and live
Right.
how they wanted to live.
That that's when they notice things when you get the success. And like sometimes it's like, so I primarily work at home. I have office at the museum. We have a gForce office in Spring. I go to the museum when I need to be, but I'm much more efficient here. I work more. But sometimes people are like, well, it must be nice or, this and that. Like I drove downtown from Cypress and now I'm like in the Woodlands area every day for 10 years in the traffic and all that stuff to get to the point where I could do this, right?
Yeah,
It wasn't didn't just happen. It was just, and
yeah.
sometimes it's like I just sit here and just press buttons and just dinosaurs pop up.
Yeah, that's the thing, especially when you're talking to clients and that's what they think. Oh, you can just press a button. It's a little bit more difficult than that. But people say, like I said, people say that, oh, it must be nice, or oh this or oh that. They're really, like I said, saying it because they weren't brave enough to live the life that they wanted and go after what they wanted. It really, like you said, work hard to get yourself to that point where
Yeah,
you can work at home. You do have an
yeah,
office if you want to go into it. You could have it too if you wanted to, but you got to put in the work to do it, really.
surround yourself with positive people. Like, negative people are like a cancer. So you get sometimes you got to distance yourself from those kinds of people because they just drag you down, or they're constantly complaining about stuff. You're like, look, life's hard. There's the unfair stuff that goes on. It's everything expensive. I mean, just went through the pandemic and all this other stuff. I mean, who would have thought we'd ever go through a pandemic? I mean, come
Yeah,
on, all that stuff that went with that. It's so difficult on everybody, and everybody's got to hustle. Everybody's got the struggles and stuff, but
yeah. It's
you
your
still got to stay.
perspective.
Yeah,
It's how your perspective is on how you choose to see it and how you choose to react to it. And I tell everybody, like you were just saying, surround yourself around the right people.
yeah,
Um, Birds of a feather flock together.
yeah,
I don't think you see any successful person or millionaire or whoever hanging around somebody that's at a level lower than them because they
yeah,
want to be around people that push them to a
yeah.
higher level.
Just
Uh,
good human beings. That's
yeah,
that's what you need to hang
uh,
around. Keep
for
those people
sure.
alive.
What's been kind of like I said, we've been having everybody again. If you're just jumping in, having a fun time chopping it up with my old friend Slade here. What's been like I said, you worked on a lot of different stuff. What's been the funnest project that you just it was just fun?
Um, they're all fun. I mean, one of the coolest things, I'm really big into exotic cars. When I got to work with Luxior magazine, so Luxior magazine is a high-end fashion magazine, with just high-end product magazine of Houston.
Yeah,
And I've always loved Lambos and McLarens and Porsches and Ferraris, and I had them on the walls as a kid. They're just goals to have, right? And we started advertising with them in the magazine, and then they asked me. They saw the animation. They said, "Would you be interested in doing some animation for these events that we have? They have two every year. One's at the racetrack, one's at Highland Village, where they bring out all these cars. And so just to be able to do animation for some of those just sick cars. I mean, and
yeah,
all those people that own them, they're super cool. I mean, they're
yeah,
just really down to earth people. They just happen to do very well and have these vehicles. That was really fun to work with those, and then like go to Lamborghini and the guys like, hey, sit in the car, let's crank it up, and then look over and there's Rolls Royce sitting there, just this high end luxury, just the beautiful craftsmanship.
yeah,
It's not so much the power and engine of the car. It's like I love the design, the
yeah,
art
yeah,
of that luxury, and just the attention to detail that goes into some of this stuff is just incredible. But it's a lot of fun to work to be able to do, and to be able to work with those kind of people and to impress those kind of people because they're used to the best of the best.
yeah,
To be able to have an animation product or service that visual that they're like, hey, we want to work with that guy, and to
yeah.
bring him in the fold, that's been that's been really fun and really really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have a Lambo yet, but
You work that into
when I
one of
get
your
it, I'll come
deals.
pick you up. Yeah.
We're gonna have to be riding in a Lamborghini. I don't think I know I'm not. I know I've never ridden in a Lamborghini, so it'd be nice to
I haven't,
ride in. But
I haven't
no,
driven it. I sat in it, so
yeah.
that's the one.
But like I said, though, you appreciate, which is why they're And I was having this conversation with another person. We were talking about just brands and where brands want to position themselves as far as high end luxury brand or a lower brand. Like I said, Mercedes, Tesla, all those high end brands, they do the same thing as Ford, as Chevrolet. They're a car that gets you from point A to point B, but they decided to position themselves as luxury cars that really pay attention to the detail, the feel, the experience of being in that type of car.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun for sure.
Now I know the projects for the Museum of Natural Science kind of tend to run a good little while working on them. But what's your average time working on a project that you tend an animation project that you tend to kind of say like a oil and gas or a project like that general.
So these last weeks, I knocked out six of them. So some of these, and they range about, these animations are two 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes a piece. I can knock those out in 3 or 4 days.
Awesome. Awesome. That's pretty good. Jeez. Um, One final question. Like I said, this has been, we were talking about this the other day. We could sit and talk for forever, Slade. And, I've appreciated your friendship so much over the years. And just, like I said, learning from you, watching you, and everything. If you, kind of uh, were able to give advice to somebody, some young person wanting to come into the industry, get started, what would be the best piece of advice that you kind of would give them?
Um, as far as a software, what I would tell people is that anyone can learn to use a software, but not everyone can be creative with it. So you can learn the software and someone can give you instructions, but to be creative with it. And sometimes you don't really know that until you start to learn it. But there's so much free stuff, it's free knowledge on the internet. Take the time, right? You can still go out to the club, you can still go out. But when your friends are partying and stuff, you should be working, and you should always be improving your craft, improving yourself and improving your craft. You can still join the party later, right? But put the work in, because there's so many free resources online. Blender 3D is an incredible program that's free that you can get now.
Yeah,
And there's so many tutorials online. And then if you want to pay, there's online schooling, like it was digital tutors, but it's
yeah, digital tutors. And
called
there's
something
several others that are good.
you can
And like I said, even if you didn't want to pay, there's so many great free
free.
tutorials on YouTube that you can
Yeah,
learn.
yeah. Get a computer, get as much free software, and there's so much free, and just put the time in to learn. And it takes persistence, and you have to do it. I mean, if you do it every day, that's great. But you got to put, just like going to the gym, you got to put in so many hours every day to get good at it and to retain the knowledge. And it will get easier and easier. In the beginning, it can be frustrating. It can be very overwhelming. 3D is not just one thing. It's camera, it's lighting, it's shading, it's texturing, it's modeling, it's rigging, it's dynamics, it's simulations. You just take them one thing at a time. Find out what you're really good at. If you're really good at motion graphics, or you're very, very good at modeling, do that. But I think it's also good to be good at as many things as possible, because it makes you a much more valuable artist. And you don't have to rely on people, because a lot of times people are slow, they don't show up, they flake out, et cetera, et cetera. We've even had animators that we've hired before that we have to babysit people to
Yeah,
get things done. So that's my advice. Get it, get started, and do it. Stop procrastinating. Stop saying you're going to do it tomorrow. Start doing it. Put the time in on a consistent basis, and then do it. And then from there, if you're interested in something else, as you're watching a tutorial, you're like, oh, that's cool. And it's also like discovery. Once you're working in a software, you can discover new things. Oh, and then you have an idea. Well, what if I make this? Or if you're working for a client, eventually, what if I have an idea for my own brand? I want to do the t-shirts, or I want to do this. Then you have the skill sets to do your own, to be an entrepreneur as well. But take the time, hustle, take advantages of all the free software, the free learning,
yeah,
and do it.
yeah, yeah. Some amazing, amazing tips for sure. Uh, on that one, I definitely, you know, want to drop us another bomb. As you can see, I like doing that. But I make sure I emphasize the point of a good knowledge drop that guests and people make, because definitely practice, practice, practice. It's something I constantly work
Practice,
at,
practice.
is just consistently creating, and you'll get better, along the way. this has been, like I said, such an amazing show, Slade. Like I said, I've been, working for a while to get you on. I'm just so glad I got you on. Can't wait to have you back on the show for
I really
sure. And
appreciate the invite.
no, awesome for sure, and definitely, like I said, they bring you back and do like a 3D, demo and demonstration and just a 3D jam session. I like to call it,
Yeah,
and just sit and model some stuff and have some fun in Blender or Lightwave even for
yeah, we'll pull
sure.
up on a Lightwave.
Oh man, you remember the dongle key?
Oh yeah, where's that dongle at? You got my
Yeah,
dongle. Bring my dongle back. I can't get it to work.
oh man, I'm telling you, it's just mind blowing how software moves. Um, Slade, if you could hang out in the green room for just 1 minute while I close out the show,
Okay.
um, and say goodbye to all the friends here. That way, get a chance to holler at you just before let you go. But everybody, again, please, you know, help me thank my guests and, like I said, my good friend Slade for being on the show. Brought some great energy, great knowledge, and great work. Definitely, if you want to connect with Slade, make sure that you go over to and check out his band's page, Riot the Witness. They do some sick music. I may have you guys do a little tune for the show. Talk with you
Yeah,
about that.
absolutely.
Definitely would love to, because I'm looking to get some new music for sure. But you can connect with him there on Instagram, gForce Animation, Lightwave Monk, Riot the Witness on Instagram. Go to their website, gforceanimation.com, riotthewitness.com. They got a lot of great, like I said, music that you can listen to, some gear that you can purchase as well. You can find them on Facebook, Slade Rockstar, GForce Animation, Riot the Witness. Check out their page. Again, all this information is going to be on the show notes, so you'll be able to hop on over to the YouTube channel, check out the show notes, connect with them there. But you definitely want to reach out, check them out, check out their work. Like I said, you've seen his work. He does some amazing stuff. And such a great guy, such a fun, great guy, which is why we connected so
Thank
long
you.
ago. All right.
Absolutely.
Again, thanks, Slade, for gracing us with your presence. Thanks for being a part of the Color of Motion family. And thanks for being my friend, man.
No problem, man. To thank me. Great guy.
Everybody, again, let's give him a round of applause. Hang out for just a minute there, Slade, and I'll be right with you, man.
Okay.
Guys and gals, this has been, like I said, just another great episode. Like I said, I love Slade. Slade's such a great guy. Super cool, man. Which is, like I said, why we kind of hit it off when we met some years ago. And as you've seen, he does some amazing work. I want to thank all of you for hanging out with us. It's been, like I said, just so much fun. Miss Leontine, appreciate you. Yes, I'm sure Slade appreciates you hanging in there with us and being a part of the show. Make sure, because I'm getting ready to go down there myself. It's been a minute since I've been to the Museum of Natural Science, so I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of the new stuff that Slade's been working on and just what the museum's got going on. Definitely a great place, and I love a place that loves technology and loves pushing forward just new innovative stuff to get their guests engaged in what they're learning about. Appreciate you again, Leontine, for hanging out. I appreciate all my guests and viewers for sticking with us and being a part of the show. Can't do it without you. Definitely, like I said, tell everybody, share it, because I'm trying to get this to a super high level. And I can't do it without you. And definitely can't do it without the great guests that I have on the show. So, with that, make sure that you tune in next week because we're going to have another great show for sure. Next week's guest. So, looking forward to Mr. Michael Oscar, co founder and program coordinator with Africa Comicade. Comic Con, from Africa. A lot of super talented people over in the motherland. I've had fun highlighting a lot of the talent there. So, again, with that, it's been just another great show. Make sure that you tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel, and everybody have a productive, great week. See you next week. Cheers.